to Bloody Good Horror, covering the best and worst of the horror genre since Halloween 2007. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very kaiju-rific episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be discussing Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Joe.
Oh, he's I don't. Do kings get elected? I don't know how the process works.
He's like a sleepy, grumpy dad king, and I've never related more in my life. We're gonna get onto all of that, but first up, joining me tonight, his first ever time on the BGH main flagship show. Please welcome young Andrew to the show.
Hello, hello.
I'm sorry, I apologize ahead of time for calling young Andrew all night, but it's probably gonna happen.
No, it's fine. It's fine. My youth is my most defining feature, so.
It's mostly
Young
just,
Master Andrews here to talk about the Godzillas.
it's mostly just jealousy anyway, because your foot probably doesn't hurt all the time for no reason.
It's true. It's true.
Next up on the show, I bet his foot does hurt. He's also a dad, and he likes to drink. Please welcome Joe to the show.
More back pain is what I go through on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I've looked at orthopedic shoes. They don't really make them in flattering
You
designs.
just get yourself a pair of those like nursing shoes, Joe, and you'll be good. Like
I'm literally thinking about it, like to walk around the house. But
Joe, let me tell you about a brand called New Balance.
I think they're below the rung past nursing shoes, Joe. So just be careful.
I can't imagine those are actually orthopedic.
Last up tonight in the show, our very own sleepy grumpy dad of BGH, coming to us from Indiana tonight. Please welcome Casey.
Hello.
He's not really grumpy. He's just sleepy dad.
Yeah, I have my moments.
Yeah. He's like, I guess you're like kind of hairy, more like that mammoth.
Yeah.
Casey's the giant mammoth.
The giant
Bloody Good
mammoth of
Horror. Yeah,
BGH.
exactly. So that's it, guys. That's the crew tonight. The four of us, we're here to discuss Godzilla, King of the Monsters, directed by, of all people, I'm not sure we've even talked about this in the show, but Mike Doherty, who you may know is the guy who directed Trick or Treat, Joe.
Shannon's brother, I believe, also.
Sure, yes. So, but that's kind of been the interesting story this week is like, hey, here's this guy who struggled for years to get Trick or Treat just seen by anybody.
Yeah.
Like, amazingly, because if you think about it, that was really the last era where that would even happen. Like, if he made Trick or Treat nowadays and nobody wanted to release into theaters, like, Netflix would buy it. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of, like, early 2000s saga of movie, like, Poughkeepsie tapes or something. The same exact thing would have happened with that. You know what I mean?
It would have shown up somewhere.
Yeah.
Could have gone down the line. Amazon,
This guy
Shutters.
This guy was the last to have to carry that cross, Joe.
Good for him, a trailblazer. I didn't realize that he directed this until someone mentioned it on Slack.
Yeah.
I think today or yesterday, and I was quite shocked as well.
It's a real feel-good story, Joe.
Andrew, your Godzilla cred's all out the window now because you didn't tell us that in the email thread. Sorry.
Oh,
Sure.
I'm sorry. I love Krampus.
Well-
Krampus knocked.
Oh, he did do Krampus, didn't he?
Yeah, he did Krampus and Trick or Treat. So he's doing all the holidays and then just Godzilla.
Yeah.
He just ditched the holiday format and was like, I don't know, New Year's. He
Godzilla
glows.
Day.
Well, New Godzilla is probably holiday-like for you, though, right, Andrew?
Oh man, this is my. I compare it to my Halloween 2018. Like for how excited Eric was, like that's how pumped I was.
Well, this brings up a good point, Andrew. We should kind of let people in on this. So, like, people who don't know, you write for the show, you write for the site. You've been doing that for a while. You're also a co-host on Behold and Electric Terror, which of course is the patron-only spin-off of BGH, and you are a Godzilla weirdo.
Oh yeah,
and I mean
100%.
I mean
that's
in
going
the
off the
nicest
license
way
of
possible.
Godzilla.
So
Yeah.
tell me about your Godzilla fandom. Is this like this has been going on? This issue's been going on a while.
Oh yeah, this has been a common problem. It can all be blamed to my mother because when I was 3 years old, I was just sick one day, and she went out to go buy a movie to put on while I was sick, and she bought Son of Godzilla, which is where this future meme is going to show up from. That's actually where that meme is from, Son of Godzilla. So
That's a deep cut too. That's not like original Godzilla or anything. That's
No, that's like it's 60s. All the budgets are down. They're on
Yeah,
islands.
pure
Like that's
cheese.
yeah,
Do
exactly.
you
And
do you think
I loved it.
do you think was your mom a Godzilla fan, or was it more just like she literally just walked by the aisle and picked a random movie and there it was?
Well, my mom was one of those people who watched a lot of horror hosts when she was growing up.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
like, yeah, that was like, and she always found Godzilla, and she's like, oh, this can like my kid will like this. Like, it's a giant monster thing. It'll be fun.
It's pretty harmless too. I mean, I don't actually know, but I imagine it's fairly harmless, other than all the people getting stomped to death.
Yeah, and they normally don't, other than the very first Godzilla movie and some of the later '90s Godzilla movies, they don't really focus on the people getting stepped on. It's more like, hey,
Yeah.
here's a dinosaur doing a dumb dance.
It's
Aren't
like
there a
it's,
lot of the originals that are rated G?
Oh yeah, a lot of them are rated
it's
G.
like when
even
the
though
it's like when the
there's some
plane it's like when the plane in Con Air lands in the Vegas Strip and nobody dies.
Yeah, exactly like that. You know, Nicolas Cage
Documentary.
wants everyone to put Godzilla back in the box.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He landed that with his hands, his wings, his wing hands, his arms.
He's a
And-
wing hand.
Boy, were they tired.
I actually remember the exact moment that I learned you were a Godzilla fan, Andrew, which was like this was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. You had just been writing for the site, I think, and I had tweeted that. Or no, maybe it wasn't that. Maybe it was like 2 years ago. But I had 4 or 5 years ago. I had bought like a dozen Godzilla movies on VHS. I couldn't tell you what era they were from. They looked maybe 80s and 90s. I don't really know. I know that they had really cool, like Technicolor neon boxes, and they all matched, which is why I bought them because they looked cool.
I had that same box set. My parents got it to me for Christmas one year.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Do we know which ones those are?
I think it was most of the like like original Godzilla movies, because I mean like Mothra was on there, Mechagodzilla was on there, like it was. I assume it was all the ones that were produced by like a specific company. Andrew probably knows better than I do.
That's why I was asking Andrew.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to say because with a lot of those, there's like a lot of releases because they went through a lot of different hands, especially in the VHS era. Like I know, like
yeah.
Front Row Entertainment had a bunch. I think because I know Henry Saperstein brought a lot of them over for AIP, so I don't know where a lot of the AIP stuff ended up. But I was very sad when I heard you just got rid of
Well,
them
so
all.
like
I remember that.
I've been slowly kind of, and I want listeners to prepare themselves for this, but I've been slowly paring down my VHS collection. It's about to the point now where like you'd have to fight me to get rid of any of these behind me, but like I had just bought those because they look cool when I had a lot of space and I was just trying to fill it up. So I threw them out, and I think it was Sophie who was like, "Dude, you should have just given those to Andrew." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And then that was how I found out, and then I felt really guilty about it.
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. I probably already have them, like because I own like a lot of the Godzilla VHSs. I even imported Laserdisc from Japan because
Wow.
I'm cool like that.
Do you have a laser
Wow.
disc? Do you have a laser disc player?
Yeah, oh yeah, I do. I got a Bloody Good Horror sticker on it and everything.
Nice.
That's one of the stickers are.
The only time
so.
I ever remember doing Laserdisc, like I didn't knew nobody who had a Laserdisc in their home. We would use it in like science class.
Oh really?
It was like
that's
it was
that's
like
crazy.
here's an interactive like you know like the day when the teacher
Yeah.
just puts the movie on. It was that, but it was a Laserdisc, basically.
Wow.
But-
That's pretty cool. It's some of those like I have like a lot of laser discs and they actually hold up because they're basically DVD quality. So like
Yeah.
it's just you have to flip it. Like they're just giant record sized discs that you have to flip for those who don't know. But they hold up pretty well. And these ones I got them over here for a purpose because like they're either not available in that version here or they have a lot of special features. So like even though I don't speak Japanese, like they have these like huge booklets with them that have like all these like really cool behind
Well,
the scenes footage.
Yeah, I
and-
mean the artwork itself on those Laserdiscs is just really sweet.
Oh,
Like
amazing.
I assure you, when I was in my darker VHS collecting days, I would look at Laserdiscs on eBay and be like, maybe I should buy this for $40. I never did though. It's willpower, Joe.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I just remembered Godzilla 2000 was a thing.
Yeah, let's get ready to crumble. That was the tagline.
That's awesome.
I made my then girlfriend go see that in the theater with me because I was so excited that like the old school Godzilla movies were in the theater.
Let's Get Ready to Crumble has had to have been used in like a cheddar cheese commercial at some point in the last 20 years.
Oh, I'm
Or
sure.
it
I'm
sh-
sure.
It should be if it hasn't been. So yeah, we're here tonight. We're going to probe the depths of young Andrew's fandom here on Godzilla. We're going to talk to. It's funny because you couldn't have more opposites of like Andrew knows all stuff. He's a super fan. He's got all these like smart things in his head. Casey like knows a little bit about Godzilla, and then me and Joe are just like monsters are cool. Like I like
Giant
Mm.
monsters.
I like
woo!
I like when they punch each other. That's pretty sweet.
I like that. I like that stuff when they fight.
Yeah, sweet. So yeah, we're gonna get to that in a little bit. We get a little bit of housekeeping first. So Joe, do you remember the other Andy? Do you remember Andy?
I'm familiar with his work of beards and public nudity.
Creepy Beard. Yep. He's the editor, managing editor at bloodygoodhorror.com. He sent us a little dispatch from the site. Been a little while since this happened. And first up, wouldn't you know it, it's young Andrew again with his write up on the Godzilla movies. You want to give a little quick explanation of what this is?
Yeah, for sure. First, I got to give a little detail. Andy said that he printed out the articles to edit while by a lake in the middle of nowhere. So like he sent me all these criticisms that I didn't get for like the not criticisms but comments that I didn't get for like 2 weeks, like for like a whole weekend, and he was like, "Oh no, I thought I sent those. I was in the middle of the woods," and I was like, "Who edits? You're in the woods." Anyways,
That's a
yeah, so
very that's a very on brand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an Andy thing.
Yeah.
yeah,
Sounds
that's
about right.
extremely Andy. I was like, yes, that's amazing. Yeah, so the two articles that other than the review, so I reviewed this movie, but don't spoil yourself. Listen to this. And I also did like 2 kaiju beginner guides where I basically just went through like stuff that like, hey, if you have kids, you want to show your kids something. Here's a few Godzilla movies you might like. If you just want to see monsters punch each other, here you go. Are you a film snob? You want to see the ones that actually are like artistically relevant? Then here you go. Want to see like the weird stuff, like you want to see the Italian re-release where they tried to color the original Godzilla, but they didn't actually have access to colorization, so they just have like red filters over a bunch of scenes,
Amazing.
and like a new score by Goblin. Like it's weird.
What?
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah. That's like in the weird stuff, and just like little stuff like that. So just kind of like a good primer guide if you watch this movie and you want to watch more. So
Interesting. If I was going to introduce my 7-year-old daughter to Godzilla, what would be your pick?
like honestly, I would do like any of those like the ones from like the era that I got when I was young, right? Like Son of Godzilla. Any of those ones where it takes place on an island. Like there's like a movie called like Godzilla's Revenge or like Attack of the, and it's like really silly. It's just like a kid. It stars a kid who like when he dreams, he like ends up in like the Godzilla land and interacts with Godzilla's son, and it's a lot of stock footage. But like if you haven't watched all the movies, then like it's a good introduction because you don't know what stock footage is. It's just like holy crap. So
Interesting.
yeah.
Wild.
Hmm.
Wild. Other things going on at bloodygoodhorror.com. Sophie has a review from the It Follows director called Under the Silver Lake. That's a movie. Luke has a review of Brightburn and I Trap the Devil. And Evan's review of Ma now on the website. I love the idea of Evan reviewing Ma for some reason. I don't know why. I want his take more than anyone's. So there you go. bloodygoodhorror.com. Check that out. Really quick before we get into it here, Andrew, do you want to talk to me about Tweet with BGH?
Yes. So Tweet with BGH is coming up. They got the 2 new ones coming up this month, and well, not this month, next month. So there's in June 21st. They're doing the original Child's Play. So they're going back and we're tweeting and watching the original Child's Play live when Chucky was voiced by Brad Dourif and was great. And then the upcoming month, July, they accidentally let me choose the movie. So we're talking the 1995 Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, which is awful, and I can't wait to talk about it.
I think I saw some footage from this recently, and I actually didn't even know it existed until I was reading this article about it.
Yeah.
'Cause
July 14th is that date. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, that's all right. I was kind of after I would have been watching it, but that was one of those things like you never really enjoyed Power Rangers. You just watched it because it was on, and you're just like, oh, okay. It was very Saved by the Bell-ish in the sense of like, this isn't good, but I have nothing else to do.
Yeah, if you're a patron and you want to hear us talk about that, we actually talked about that on Electric Terrors this month. So we did an episode where we talked about the original Japanese show and compared it to an episode of the Power Rangers, and like they're wildly different because the episode of the Japanese show actually had like Satan and stuff and was like crazy, and then it was just like a Power Rangers episode was like
yeah. I mean, like growing up later in life and learning that they used the fight sequences from the Japanese show and then shot new stuff with American teenagers and mixed it together, like blew my mind. It's amazing. So there you go. Hey Joe.
Yeah, what's up, man?
you feeling tonight?
I'll be honest, I'm a little down.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. You know what helps?
Yeah.
You know what helps with that?
Oh, yeah, depressants.
Get yourself a little Prozac. Drinking was what I was gonna say.
Yeah, that's absolutely. I know they tell like depressed people like
You should drink
get
more.
get some booze.
Have you been drinking? Because if not, you should start.
Yeah.
And we've got just the thing for those kinds of people, Joe. It's time for this week's beer pick.
Beer guts.
Yeah, we got beer guts. It's Godzilla, King of the Monsters. And if you know anything about Godzilla and his monsterness, he's a giant lizard. So I picked a beer from the good folks here in Chicago. Pipeworks Brewing Company is the name of that place, and the beer of theirs that I picked is Lizard King.
Oh, wow. Nice
Yeah,
job.
yeah. I mean,
Nailed
I
it.
struggle with picking a lot of beers from this area because I know not everybody can get them, but I mean this one was just so spot on. I couldn't. Lizard King is an American pale ale, which if you've had this one, it kind of blends into the IPA category, which a lot of pale ales do. It's a little tough to differentiate between the two. A lot of hops in this one, a lot of citrus, pineapple, like a piney aroma, a little bit of malt, which, you know, kind of tones down some of those hops, but definitely a very, as the kids would say, hop forward beer.
Oh.
I'm a big fan of Pipeworks. I don't know, I forget how far they distribute out, but I think fairly well distributed throughout these fine United States. So you can probably pick it up in your neck of the woods or come to the BGH meetup in September, and you can have some of these fresh from the brewery.
Joe, I gotta say, Joe, pale ale is my sweet spot. That's my
Yeah.
It's probably my favorite style.
Yeah, it's also, you know, very relevant to my complexion this time of year. So it's a theme. 6% alcohol on this one, so not super high. You can drive all the way out here while drinking these and be fine.
I mean, that's a little. That's not low.
It's not crazy. You know, it's good for the kids. Pipeworksbrewing.com is their website, and I wholeheartedly recommend this and everything else that they put out.
Joe, you know, like back in the pioneer days, they gave kids beer.
Well, yeah, because it was safer than water.
Yeah, didn't want to
which
get
they
didn't want to get the flux.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't realize, but, you know, they were boiling the water, which was killing the germs in it.
Right.
But
Stupid pioneers don't even know
Yeah.
science.
they used, what do they call it? Near beer, right? So that was like they made the batch of beer, and then they would keep the grain and make another batch, so it wasn't
Ah.
nearly as high in alcohol content, and that's what they would give the kids.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
I learned
Near-
something from you tonight, Joe. That's great.
I appreciate it.
All right, guys, it's time to learn even more about giant monsters. Let's take a quick break and discuss Godzilla, King of the Monsters.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. From the prime time, bitch. Main feature.
And we're back. It just occurred to me, I don't know how to synopsize this movie. Do you want to, Joe?
Oh God.
No? Andrew, did you follow this? Do you want to synopsize?
Oh man, I can synopsize
Okay.
this.
Yeah.
Here's
that's
your
for the best.
here's your only job. Keep it shorter than
Okay.
Schnars would.
Okay, so it'll be under 122 minutes.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I'll start the half-an-hour clock countdown right now.
Whenever you're ready, buddy.
Okay, so this is Godzilla King of the Monsters, sequel to Godzilla 2014. In this movie, basically starts out with Vera Farmiga, who's one of members of our lead family. She is at this like weird Mexican, not weird, but like she's in this old Mayan temple, it looks like, and they found a egg. That egg ends up being Mothra, and that's when you're like, whoa, that's your first kaiju. It's like a baby Mothra. And then all of a sudden, Tywin Lannister shows up, kidnaps them.
Dude,
Charles dance.
can I
but
tell you
just-
how pumped I got when Tywin Lannister strolled onto the scene? I didn't even know. I forgot he was in this movie because I'm sure I saw a trailer, but literally, when I see a dude's face on screen, I smile. I'm like, oh hell yeah.
It's funny.
Oh,
I do also, but for completely different
That's fine.
reasons.
That's
Like,
fine. Sweet brother
the-
Nunzi, I get it.
The moment he walked out, sweet brother Noomsy, and I literally like it was a packed crowd, and I started laughing, and it was like dead silent.
Amazing.
He's the best.
So we figure out that Vera Farmiga has invented a device that can communicate with kaiju and communicate with the giant monsters and help control them or wake them up. And we find out that Monarch, which was the organization after looking after Godzilla and keeping it secret in the 2014 organization, has now become known to the world. They're under scrutiny by the government. And they have found, I believe it's 17 Titans around the world that they're kind of keeping secret from the government. And then pretty much what happens is Charles Dance and his group start awakening these Titans, and they awaken the Big Daddy, King Ghidorah. Or in this one, they started calling it Monster Zero. But anyways, as soon as this monster comes out, it just starts wrecking ship. It flies to a South American village. I'm not exactly sure where in South America it was. It might have been a fictional village. I couldn't tell exactly. And he just starts awakening monsters. He's more effective than the Orca, which is the device they created to control monsters. Turns out King Ghidorah, he's got 3 mouths. He's the ultimate Orca. So he just awakens all the monsters around the world. They just start coming out and just start wrecking everything. Godzilla is opposed to this, so Godzilla goes and tries to do like a battle with them and stop them.
Because Godzilla is the king of the monsters, and
Mm.
he's being challenged basically.
Yeah, they basically do it like he's the alpha predator, and then this other guy's coming in, and he's like, "Get out of here!"
And we can
I'm
kind
old."
of that's the setup. Like we can kind of get to it. But like there's also 3 different human factions. Everybody wants different things. We should mention like Charles Dance is basically like a far
And
leftist
Pico.
PETA type situation where like they want to just let the monsters wreck shit and murder everybody to like it's very Thanos-esque. It's very like we're gonna cleanse the earth and return things to the natural order. I say that having never seen a single Avengers movie. I just know what I've read of spoilers, but you know what I mean.
No,
It's like
that's very true.
it's
It's very
ver-
true.
yeah.
Although it made more sense here, but anyways, that's
so, and then I really should have at least read a synopsis for the first movie because I could not like a Monarch. I was like, what? I'm like, a lot of things I feel like I was supposed to just know, and also like, I'm like, was Vera Farmiga in the first movie? Was this other dude in the first? Like, they
No,
kind of
right?
treat them as if they're
They're-
returning characters in a weird way, and I was like lost.
there's really only 2 returning characters: Sally Hawkins and then Dr. Shirazawa.
Now,
Uh,
Sally Hawkins is
She was the one in the wheelchair.
What? No. What?
No.
what?
He's in love with
No.
the fish dude.
Fish lady.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she-
yeah, fish,
Yeah, she was
fish
from Shape
lady.
of Water, and I guess that's why they had to like. They don't do much with her in this movie, and I guess they just had to get rid of her fast because they knew she would charm all the monsters.
She
like-
is
Mhm.
fantastic. Like I just
Yeah.
She's a great actress, and they
she's-
don't do anything with her. In this
even
movie.
in this where she's not given a lot to do, like she's every time she's on screen, she's awesome.
Wait, really? Who was she? I don't know.
She's from the Shape of Water, the fish sex
Oh,
movie there,
sure.
where the fish
Mm.
has the thing, and they do stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fish fucking.
Yeah.
Fish sticks.
Okay, so I really want to dig into it. There's a lot to talk about between the plot and the monster punching. Let's do a quick roundtable. Casey, we'll start off with you. What did you think of this movie?
By the end of it, I kind of loved it. I was pretty pumped up by the time I got out of there. Really excited. I got really into the monster fights. We'll get into details later. I didn't find the plot problems. I'm not saying it was perfect by any means. I didn't find them quite as offensive. I was able to roll with them pretty well. So overall, I was pretty pleased by the end of this.
Jojo.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to this. Much like young Andrew, I grew up watching a lot of these Godzilla movies. It was like a Sunday morning like staple on one of our local channels. So I was a huge fan. Like I loved all of them. I have not kept up with them nearly as well. But you know, like reading some Andrew stuff, I'd like to go back and check that out. But I really liked Godzilla, the last one we watched. So I was really looking forward to this, and I mean the battles and stuff, like it lived up to my expectations. Casey's right, there is a good amount of cheese in the story of this. It gets a little convoluted, but on the flip side, you know, from what I remember of the original movies, like a lot of those stretch what's
Yeah.
going on too. So I mean, I kind of enjoyed it in that sort of cheese aspect of it. there's a couple like not even like nitpicky things, but like things that did kind of irk me, like specifically Vera Farmiga's character, and like the arc they had with her, just didn't really work for me. And then I mean a lot of the dialogue is pure cheese too, but that I kind of let go. So overall, I was a fan, but it definitely has its issues.
Andrew, you're
You're
muted.
muted.
Muted. Uh-oh.
I pulled a CC. Anyways, so overall, I really liked the movie. I thought it was good and was very fun to watch. I have a little problem with the plot. Yes, the plot has a lot of holes. I have a bit of a problem with the thematic elements of the movie, which we'll kind of dig in a little bit because, like, I think it kind of like.
Well, go ahead, lay it out, broad strokes for me.
Okay, broad strokes. It's Godzilla has always been a parable about nuclear power, right? And like the dangers of nuclear power and like how it can like forever alter our environment and just like ruin it. Whereas this movie, they like treat it like it's a power up in a video game. They're just like, yeah, here you go. Here's your extra life, Godzilla. Now you're super powerful. We just nuke the ocean. Let's all cheer and be happy.
Well, what's interesting is
then-
that like but I guess it's not really his origin. They've kind of like retconned the origin so that these are just ancient gods. You know what I mean?
Well,
Which
yeah,
is the thing
like
they
in
really hammer home
Titans.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
is this
in the
a
original film, it's
prequel to
kinda
Remember the Titans, Andrew? Is that what this is?
Yeah, you know, I
Just
was going to
curious.
bring that up later, but yeah, that is a deep cut. Remember, you got to remember the Titans.
I loved Denzel Washington's cameo.
Do you know Eli Roth was supposed to reprise his character from Glorious Bastards in this as the Bear Jew Kaiju? He was supposed to be in there.
I would love to see Godzilla just eat
Eli Roth.
I think that would give me a lot of joy.
Yeah.
Literally been waiting 4 hours to make that joke.
Yeah, I think I'm obviously like as Matt, like I come into this with literally zero baggage other than I really enjoyed the first film. I thought they nailed the kaiju stuff in that first one. I remember thinking the pacing was a mess. It pissed me off that Bryan Cranston disappeared 20 minutes in. They kind of bait and switched you with the marketing on that one. This one is like everything they did great about the monsters in the first movie. They cranked up to 11 here, and they friggin' nail it. Like all the monster stuff is great, and it's like it's the fighting, it's the cinematography, it's the visuals, it's the lore. I loved the monster lore. Like they're getting into this thing about these. They're almost like at this point they're almost like Lovecraftian, like ancient god kind of a thing, and like the whole thing with one of them's kind of an. By the way, we should just mention like, spoiler alert. We got to get into shit here because there's a lot happening. One of them isn't from Earth, and then there's like, they even nail like there's. It sounds weird to say, but there's relationship dynamics between the monsters, right? And like all that stuff they do so well. So that's my overall feeling. It's a lot of fun. It's worth seeing. What still kind of irks me is that it's like they totally had the chance because the first one did well. To me, to like any sane person who at all watches a lot of movies, it was really easy to watch the first one and be like, here's where this pacing and story is like kind of a mess here, guys. Like they didn't take the opportunity to fix anything, and if anything, like doubled down on some of the craziness that like kind of screws up the plot of the original. And what I mean is like anything with a human is just kind of off here. Like they nail the monster dynamic, but like there's too much happening is my main overall point. There's 3 competing factions of humans who at any given point can't seem to stay very consistent with what their like motivations are supposed to be, right? And like not only that, but we're getting all of this in exposition. There is so much corny exposition in this movie, specifically from Friday Night Lights husband guy. Like this poor dude. First of all, I must have missed somewhere where he's like a scientist because he was like they show him in the beginning he's like photographing nature photos, and then suddenly he's like in the science submarine with everybody just spouting off science crap, and you're like, wait a minute, is this guy like was he just like moonlighting as a photographer? So that was like throwing me to begin with. But like every 10 minutes this guy has a whole soliloquy where he somehow figures out things about the kaijus with literally nothing to back up what he's saying, and it's just like this is kind of like a weird tangent, but it reminds me of this thing of like writers as plotters, and like when you're this came about in the last couple weeks in regards to Game of Thrones and the finale, and like the difference between George Martin's writing and the showrunner's writing. And the description was basically like the showrunners, like Martin is a pantser, as they describe it, where you're sort of like flying by the seat of your pants and exploring characters and really fleshing things out, whereas the main showrunners are plotters, and they're just doing things in service of the plot they need. So in other words, they need to get a character here and here and here, or they need to get everybody's understanding to this point. And so a character's just going to blurt out a bunch of crap just because we need to get this information to the audience. And it just, if it was just a couple of scenes, I think I would have just let it ride because the monster stuff is so fantastic. But it is relentless in this movie. Like literally, there's 45-minute stretches where we're just like teleporting all over the world, and then it's just like exposition after exposition. Characters are like flipping alliances. My head was like, by the time we get to, thank God, I mean, the third act saves it, much like the first movie. It's exactly the same way I felt about the first movie. The third act comes in and just thankfully like erases a lot of the crap you've been watching, because it's just like bananas. The third act is just like really beautiful. It's really just like almost inspiring to watch. No lie, like that's how I felt. But the character stuff is just a hot mess, man. And I'm fine. I get the thing about Godzilla sort of being corny, but that's not really what these movies are in a way. Like they're treating it very serious, and I think they're trying to make, like, they're really going for emotion with the monster stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you have emotion for Godzilla. Andrew, you can jump in anytime you want. I'm just like,
Oh, okay.
you know what I mean?
I
I'm
just,
just so then like
I
there's a
just want
contrast to me between
yeah.
there's a contrast to me between how I feel about the monsters, which is like invested and intrigued and like emotional, and then everything coming out of a human's mouth in this movie, I'm just like rolling my eyes and like, dude, can you just get back to the monster punching, please? Like,
Right. I think it's a little unfair to like Godzilla movies are corny and have corny elements, right? But I think a lot of that is because of how people in the West experience them,
Sure.
right? So you got to keep
Sure.
in mind that like
with
they were dubbed,
dubbing, yeah.
they were edited, they were like they changed the scores oftentimes, right? So like these movies, a lot of people haven't seen the movies in their original presentation. Now,
So what you're saying is this movie has less of an excuse.
yeah, it kind of has less of an excuse. But
Are they like very highbrow in their original format?
No, they always are silly.
No, but
I'm not
I
arguing with that.
I
but-
understand what he's saying, and you're also like,
Yeah,
there's
of course,
also
yeah.
like a cultural filter there too going on.
Yeah, because like also like in Japanese culture, like puppetry is a bigger thing and a bigger form of entertainment, right? So like they're not exactly meant to be showing realism, right? But I think one of my issues with this movie is again kind of coming back to the nuclear power aspect, since we're in spoiler territories. The idea that like there's no cost to doing a lot of what they do, right? Like there's no like humans launching a nuke and like overpowering Godzilla and like making him like basically burn down Boston. Like there's not much of a cost from that other than like, oh, he saved the day and he won, and like there's no deeper cost from that. Because like a similar thing happens in the 90s Godzilla movies where like Godzilla is like all red because he's like overheating or whatever and is like super powerful now.
That's pretty dope.
But like it is pretty dope. But there's like a cost to the world, right? Like that's like, oh, he's gonna like fight and kill this monster, but like he's gonna also destroy the world when he melts down and just has a big
like
nuclear thing.
that is
right?
funny.
Like,
I felt zero sympathy for the people of Boston, which was destroyed at the end of this movie. I did, however, was like, oh, Godzilla.
I thought that
boo-boo.
was pretty realistic. to be
well,
honest.
sorry. Also, they explain, like, I don't know why, but they just explain that all of Boston is evacuated early in the movie. So I just like, they got
Listen,
new
which
homes. But I don't know
if
where they
you've ever
evacuated.
been to Boston and seen the streets, there's no, if anyone ever had to evacuate the city, everyone would be dead and nobody would, like, it's like, they're like sick roads built in the 1600s that like can barely handle rush hour traffic in the morning. But it's just funny. I didn't even catch that line, to be honest with you. I just like, it's really,
Yeah.
it was pretty cool though. I did dig even if I just like, so it's
It's
it's one of those movies. It reminds me of, The Meg, in that I remember reviewing the Meg and being like, who's the main character in this movie? Somebody tell me. And like, I guess you could make an argument that it's Vera Farmiga, but her character, like, every character that you think might be the main character disappears for like a different chunk of the movie. Like, literally, I forgot Thomas Middleditch was even in this movie until he shows up in the third act, and you're like, why are you even here? Like, what is the point of your character? For real.
To say really bad jokes like, oh, he's
Yeah.
a gonorrhea.
You know, it's
Like,
like
yes,
it's like
yes,
too many
does.
characters, and I think Vera
I thought that
Farm.
was
I
pretty
think
funny, actually.
I think Vera Farmiga's like arc is like the real focal point to me of all the script issues, because like
It
her
is
flip makes no sense, comes out of nowhere. It's not even consistent afterwards. Like, it's not earned. It's just like, to me, it's like
It's
where the
so
faults
weird.
the faults all kind of start from there and like radiate out. I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like, and again, because we're kind of in spoilers here, but I felt like at the end they were almost trying to make you feel sympathy for her, but then
Yeah.
like in the back of my mind, I'm like, you're responsible for thousands of people dying.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I don't care about you. You know, I
I
feel
mean,
bad for the kid.
Millions
but
of people.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, because I don't know that I felt the same. I don't know if it was what I was supposed to feel, but I was right there with 11 as she's going through there and they reveal mom's plan and everything, and I'm like, oh fuck you, mom, and you're awful, and like Joe said, you just killed thousands of people. So when we're supposed to feel bad for it, it's like, well, fuck
I
you.
mean, I had a lot.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I
I
had
had the same issue. I had
kind
the
of like to
same
Andrew's
issue.
point, I had a lot of trouble here, and again, monster fights awesome, but I had a lot of trouble here, like figuring out who I related to, and it reminded me of, I don't know why I keep like referring to other movies, but Jurassic Park, the last one, or Jurassic World, where the
Fallen
very
Kingdom?
the
Yeah.
very end of the movie, there's like this dilemma where like they had a bunch of dinosaurs in America in a confined space and the opportunity to kill them, and there's spoiler alert, there's a character that decides like they're gonna like, we're supposed to want this character to let these dinosaurs out, and all I can think is like, no, you idiot, like they're friggin' dinosaurs, what the hell's wrong
Yeah.
with you? Like, at no
Yeah.
this movie is like that, and like this movie really tries to stretch the limits of like what you'll feel empathy for. Like, I understand, okay, I like Godzilla, he's the cool one, right? But then a character makes a really well-reasoned argument in the beginning of like, look, it's not safe for these things to like be alive, right? Like, they kind of Deus Ex Machina it in the end of the movie, so that, oh, it's great that they're alive and all this happened, but like when a character in the beginning says, hey, there's 18 of these things, we should just kill them all, I'm like, yeah, dude, yes, of course
Yeah.
you should. Like, and because the scientists can't give you a good reason why we shouldn't, other than like, oh, but they're like monster, I don't know, they're cute.
Well, like, my thing is like, how would they kill? Like, they just talk
Yeah.
about it like it's extremely easy to kill them all, and then
Yeah.
we've seen
Yeah.
like when they release all of the kaiju,
can't do
like at
anything.
the end of this
Yeah.
movie, the military, which
helpless.
barely exists, in this
completely
movie, like all the military just goes, hey, we just launched a super cool missile.
Oh,
We only had
God.
one, so sorry.
That
sorry,
scene-
the rest of the
Oxygen
world.
destroyer.
That
By the way, we
scene-
got this sitting here.
That scene was egregious. So like they're in the middle of a fight, and literally it's like video game style, like Metal Gear Solid, like beep beep, and then like he picks up the phone. It's like split screen. He's like, "I'm from the army. We have a bomb we've never told you about until now. We're dropping it. It will land in 5 seconds." And
I
they
didn't know
all,
we're dropping it. It's
So-
like it's on its way. It's gonna be there in 10 minutes.
and
Yeah,
then it
so
lands
a
and
little
has,
background.
it has like
it-
almost
it-
no effect on the plot, other than I guess like it causes Godzilla to have to go take a nap for a little while.
Yeah, exactly. It's weird because, like, in the continuity of the franchise, the phrase "oxygen destroyer" does have weight because, like, that's what killed the original Godzilla.
It's also
So the original
it is,
Godzilla
like,
is killed by that. And,
I can-
like, it's a cool name.
yeah.
But
I mean, well, I guess I
in the movie, it makes no sense.
I read that.
in the
I
movie.
appreciate the callback. Like, I think the name is silly, so when you hear it, you're like, all right, dude, I like, okay, like unobtainium, whatever. But but I think that like you could have created way more tension in that scene if while they're fighting, you're cutting back to a conversation with somebody being like, hey, we're gonna launch, and then be like, no, wait, Godzilla's got it, and then like
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, for sure. It was weird. That scene was weird because, like, I feel like the traditional storytelling structure is, especially for these movies, is that like I felt like Godzilla should have been losing that fight, right? Because you usually have like the two monsters clash, our hero loses and then comes back, which does happen here. But it looks like Godzilla's just whooping Ghidorah's
Yeah.
ass at that point.
I mean,
Yeah,
it
he
eating his
removed
head.
the head at that point.
like
Yeah.
the more I think about it, like it feels chopped. Like there's a good like 10 scenes where characters teleport across the entire world, and sometimes they're in a different vehicle that you never see them enter. And literally, like I was joking, you could make a supercut of scenes of just people arriving places with you never having seen them left somewhere else. Like just
Why
that,
did
like
they take Thomas Middleditch along to all those places?
I don't
Comic
know.
relief,
I don't
you
even
got it.
know.
Yeah.
I don't even know who he was or why he's there, dude. Because the movie can't
I-
bother to tell you.
I liked his creepy. I don't know if this was intentional, but like, there's a scene at the end where I forget what they're even doing, but the one guy asked him like, "Are you filming this?" And he's like, "Yeah, dude, I film everything." And I'm like, "Is that like he's into
I
like
thi-
videotaping women pee or
I
something?"
kind
Like,
of,
is it?
I kind of thought it was.
I'm like,
I mean,
what's happening?
that was Bradley Whitford.
Um,
He could be.
It's just
Oh
like
God,
I
Bradley
wonder.
Whitford in this movie, all of his one-liners are awful.
His
Like there's that line
dialogue-
where someone goes,
yeah.
"Oh my God," and then he goes, "Zilla," and you're like, "Delete this,
Yeah,
delete
no,
this, throw this
his-
out."
His dialogue is really bad. Like the writing is really it's very not great. Like anything being spouted by a human is really not good. And there's a lot of it. Like I almost wonder if there's like a 3-hour cut out there that somehow makes more sense, but it's probably like interminable to sit through. But it's just like I think what blows my mind is like, how is it that they understand the language of monster fighting so well, but not the language of human beings? Like I think like it almost feels like two different entities were responsible for making this movie because it's so drastically, the action is so tight and like
Yeah, it's true.
stylistic, and you know what I mean.
Yeah, there's some like really good shots. Like I feel like you could almost pause like every shot in this movie, and it would make a great like desktop background.
dude,
There's
I'm-
like
Well,
Yeah.
let's get
so
in,
many
let's get in-
cinematic moments like that. Sorry, I didn't mean.
No,
to
no,
interrupt
no.
you.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that's right. I interrupted you.
And to
Um,
be fair, like 75% of the fighting was in the rain, Eric, which is obviously your sweet spot.
So good.
Yeah.
I mean, like, let's talk about Mothra. So I don't have any experience with Mothra at all, but just like the sound design, it's just
Oh.
so like. Is Mothra he or she, Andrew? Here's my first question.
Mothra is a she.
Okay.
Now apparently there's some generally accepted that Mothra is a she. She dies in every movie, unfortunately, but like that's just Mothra's way of life.
It
But
was so
Mothra is one
sad.
of my favorite. I
It
love
was
Mothra.
so sad.
Mm.
So in
She's
the,
the
so
best.
is there continuity in these movies? Like, does she come back, or is it just a different?
Well, so the continuity of these movies, so like in the original 60s movies, there's like a continuity. It's like a little loose continuity. Like this is before Avengers. Like they weren't doing this
There's
tight.
no
Like
cinematic
this was
universe.
yeah, exactly. It was a cinematic universe, but it was a very loose one. But so Mothra usually she has two forms. So she usually has like the larva form that we see at the beginning of this movie, and the moth form at the end of the movie. Now, how most of these movies work is usually the mom is like the moth form at the start of the movie. Two of the egg hatches, and the egg almost always hatches in twins. So there's almost always like two Mothra larvae that come out. And like, so how the movie works is that like the mama at some point dies, usually protecting the larva, and then the two larvae have to fight whatever it is or help with whatever the fight is. And it's like a cycle of life kind of thing. Like it's pretty much like the way Mothra is, it's like she's like a constant protector of Earth. So it's like kind of like a cyclical life cycle kind of like
Beautiful.
message with
Deep
her.
cut question: is Mothra ever a bad person?
Kind of. So like Mothra isn't, but Mothra has like a yang to her yin, which is Batra, which is like basically
Oh.
like goth Mothra.
Oh, I'm gonna look this up.
They should have called her Gothera, but like they just missed out. But
It was before those times, right?
yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Before,
shit.
well, no, it was in the 90s. So
Yeah.
Batra
yeah,
looks pretty sweet.
so
Batra
yeah,
looks like a
she's-
gremlin.
Batra
And-
is dope. I love Batra.
And what about the two little Asian women that are always there with her?
The Shobijin, so they're like the little
Asian women.
fairies, and
Ooh, I mean, what else would you call them?
they
mean, yeah, that's
they were
fair.
originally, it's kind of funny because like they had a history of like there would be always two of them, and they're like the fairies, and they like would translate Mothra, and they'd be like, hey, we've convinced Mothra to help. Mothra will help you. There's like a great scene in one of the movies where they're translating all the monsters having a conversation, and at one point Godzilla says something, and the Mothra twins are like, oh, Godzilla, what terrible language. So like Godzilla's just like told humanity to go fuck themselves or something, like I don't know. But yeah, so like they're constants, and they kind of try to reference the twins in this movie in a way that's kind of confusing if you're not really paying
Yeah.
attention, because there's two characters who are both with the last name
Chen, I
Jen?
think.
Chen or
let's see.
Jen, I think it
it's
is.
CH.
And
It's a
they
safe bet.
are they're kind of the twins in this movie, and they kind of show a montage of like showing a bunch of different versions of like a twin. She's like, oh, my family has been twins for generations, and we also hang out with Mothra all the time. So
Yeah.
twins, but like
I
you wouldn't know.
completely missed
Yeah,
that.
I know. I didn't. I
Yeah.
would never in a million years would have caught that, but
Yeah.
I'll just choose to believe that you actually caught that. No, I'm just kidding. When Mothra shows up to the platform in the ocean, that was probably I mean, there's a lot of really great visuals in this movie, but that was probably my favorite. It was just like really beautifully shot, and like she shows up in the mist, basically like covering over the sun, and then like unfolds her wings and kind of presents herself to the people, and it was just like such a and I didn't really understand the mythos of Mothra, but now once you kind of in the fullness of the movie, like her roles like mother, like queen, like protector, that was just really a cool scene.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is
Yeah.
actually surprising to me and neat, I think, like how much emotion they can get out of these characters that don't talk.
Yeah, they don't really look humanoid either. Like, you know, you consider like most of the time when they try to elicit emotion from like monsters or things like that in movies, like they're usually very like humanoid and like kind of recognizable, but like these are like insectoid, especially Mothra. Like Mothra is like an insect
Yeah.
beast, right? And like it's crazy how they manage to like elicit emotion through that. But
Yeah.
I'm just glad they did her justice, and they kind of did Rodan a justice too, as far as like the character design, because like what we see a lot of kaiju that come out in this movie, and we saw it a little bit with one of the extras that showed up in the first movie in 2014 too. But they tend to, it's really easy for them to lean on the generic kind of design for a kaiju that we saw in here. It kind of reminds you of the Cloverfield monster. They look kind of spindly legs, spider-like, and we saw a couple of those in this one at the end. We saw one in the first movie, so
Yeah.
it was cool to see them actually do justice to
Was
the named ones.
now Rodan is the fire demon or the lava monster or whatever?
yeah, she's the lava.
I
the flying
loved
lava.
the design on that one because it's like
Yeah.
if you look at if you like Google it, it's like I mean, Andrew, your take, but it seems pretty on point, especially in the face.
Oh, it definitely is,
Yeah.
and like, it's pretty nice to actually see Rodan look good because like Rodan has looked hella goofy for like a lot
But
of
that's
movies.
what's cool.
Like,
That's what's cool is like like some of those original designs are goofy, but it's like they kind of stayed true to the weird face shape, but made it look badass, and it looks like an extra from the Labyrinth or something in giant monster form. Like it very Henson-esque because it's got these
Yeah.
big expressive eyes and like this beak, kind of like running like a dark crystal. Like what are those things called?
Skeksis?
Yeah.
Skeksis,
But it's like cool. Again, it's just like they've done such a good job of honoring that stuff and making it look like just cool enough to make it feel a little elevated or something.
Oh yeah, I think my favorite scene in all of this, especially with the monster fights, is it was one of the showdowns, and it wasn't the very end when Godzilla and Ghidorah were taking off, and it seemed like the camera, the way they were shooting the film and everything, did it, and when Ghidorah like fully extended its legs and then it cut, or its wings and everything cut back, and it was shooting lightning bolts everywhere, knocking planes out of the sky and stuff like that, and it seemed like the film quality changed. Like I would have really liked to have seen that scene on IMAX. I think it probably would have been really
Dude.
cool. It was really pulled back and it just looked epic and enormous.
I thought they did a really neat thing too, where they were sort of like almost homaging those old school lightning effects. Like that almost looked drawn on in the way that it used to be. That was pretty neat.
Yeah, that was really cool. I like how just like especially like they make all of the monsters more like cognizant of humans, which is like not something they do in the Japanese movies. Like so like Godzilla will like look at a human and go, "Oh, hey, there's a human. Like look at this ant. Like I see it." And like Ghidorah sees a human and just like, "I'm gonna kill all these humans. Like get out of my face." And just like lightning everywhere. And I like that. I thought it was really cool, although like the humans don't do anything, but like I love that shot where like Godzilla is charging in with like all the military like at his back. Like,
Dude,
Yeah.
as
Oh my
ridiculous
God,
as it is,
yes,
like that was
yeah.
a great scene.
that was baller. I did like that a lot because it's like Godzilla doesn't care, but they're just kind of rolling up with him. You know what I mean? Like, oh god, that was really great. I mean, the whole finale.
I think this
The
the
whole
score
family's
really
good.
helped like a lot of this. Like I think like the Bear McCreary score is really
Great,
good.
like I
Yeah.
loved it. Like I want to get that. Like I really liked it. I like the kind of nod to like the classic meh, 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 like
Yeah,
that
exactly.
they pulled in a bunch. Like I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything different than the originals either, but I really love the version of Godzilla by Serge Tankian at the end too.
Oh, I love it. I was listening to
Yeah.
that today.
It always reminds me of that Pharaoh Munch. What's his name? Pharaoh Munch? You
Yeah,
know the song, Eric.
something like that.
Get the fuck up.
Yes, that song.
Simon says, get the fuck up.
Any other? I will say I really enjoyed and this is pretty kind of spoiler to what kind of gets revealed towards the end, but I really liked the idea of them as elder god, like stewards of the earth, and then sort of agents of balance or something. And they work in this other mythos that I guess is from an older movie about like underground and an ancient underground civilization, and like everything. The plot stuff I didn't love, but everything with the mythos, the way they expanded it, is I thought was really neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff, because like I was fairly forgiving of the plot holes and problems and them teleporting around the planet, stuff like that. I was forgiving to that, but like one of the things that stood out to me that I didn't like was a lot of that stuff was all revealed in info dumps by Z Zhang, who is
Yeah, for sure.
one of the twins, and because all of that stuff comes from. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to punch on the computer screen for a little bit, and then I'm going to dump all this mythos on you.
I mean, yeah,
and
like,
it happens 2 or 3 times.
there's so much stuff. I mean, even the stupid the machine that controls them makes no sense, dude. Like every
Yeah.
time that thing came on the screen, I rolled my eyes. She's like playing an iPad game to like use it, and then the whole idea that somehow like hooking into the Fenway speaker system would somehow like does she think
Like
that's gonna project it across the entire city? Like that's not how that works.
Not the city, like the
It's
globe. Like I
continents.
felt
Yeah,
like
like
it
it
was
would-
like
It doesn't make
And
any.
then they have that
stuff
scene
really kind
where-
of. That stuff actually more than anything pissed me off because
Yeah, because
like-
Ghidorah was in DC.
just put a little more thought into it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, like there's a point where like Ghidorah is able to track this frequency across continents, and then all of a sudden Vera Farmiga is just like a little ways away, and it's like, where is she? Where did she
Oh.
go? And you're like, no, it should be able to pinpoint her immediately, and then go zap zap zap.
I'm so glad you reminded me of this actually because in that scene it's raining, and the machine has been busted. They open the machine up in the rain, and they're like tweaking with wires, and there's just rain pouring down on it. And I'm like, guys, could you really not even just have them go stand under an underpass or like something? Like,
Oh yeah.
my cell phone's waterproof now, Eric. I
and it's
don't
just
know
like
what your
again when I
phone's-
talk about like the it being like a plotters movie, it's like they didn't care to take the 5 seconds to think logically of that scene going down. They just did it, and they just didn't care about any of the logic. And like they put so much care into the monster stuff. Why did none of that extend to the rest of it? I don't get it.
what are you gonna do, you know?
I don't get it,
I
Joe.
still think that the plot and story works out better than the first Godzilla did, though. But then we also had the base problem, at least for me. But we also had the base problem where we got this 2014 Godzilla, where in large part of it was nothing but the human stuff, and the monster fights didn't start until the very end. So, which they did a good job of balancing that out this time.
Yeah, I do agree the balance is a little better, but the thing I like better about the first film is it's so much simpler. Like,
Yeah,
And
I
the
mean, I might
Yeah,
be
that's true.
forgetting it, but I feel like it's literally just Godzilla comes, we've got to kill him. That's it.
well, no, it's
I don't-
like, well, no, it's Godzilla, but then they discovered like the 3 others, and then they realized that
yeah,
Godzilla's on their side. But it's like pretty straightforward, and it's just like that scientist, the one scientist dude. What's that guy's name? Is it Ken?
Ken Watanabe.
Well, yeah.
Mhm.
Like it's just about him kind of trying to track everything, and it's way simpler. Like, and then
I don't know.
there's something to be said about that, and I feel like I can admire what they're trying to do because what they're really trying to give the human stuff a lot of nuance, and they're trying to bring up questions of empathy and sort of like the lengths that empathy goes when you're trying to protect a few people versus civilization or killing these like creatures. You know, I don't know, like they're really trying to get you to just approach that from a couple different angles. But it's like overwritten. It's like they're trying to do too much and not really pulling any of it off, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think they were trying to work way too much of like the tidbits of the franchise too, like with a lot of that
Yeah.
backstory and stuff.
I feel this
Yeah,
way.
because like they do things like they'll name like they named King Ghidorah Monster Zero, and that's only a reference to like the original American title of Invasion of Astro Monster, which like came in like the '60s. But like it doesn't make any sense in the movie because he's not the oldest monster. He's
Right.
not the first monster they discovered because like they could have easily done that. They're like, oh, this is the first monster Monarch ever discovered, but no, they found him recently. So why the hell would you name him Monster Zero? Makes no sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you pick up on that, Eric?
No, I did not.
You got that one?
But Monster Zero seemed like such a weird specific thing that I figured it had to be a reference.
That's
To
bad-
Especially since the
badass
base number
name.
didn't match. Wouldn't you think if you had a base built around Monster Zero that it would be base Monarch base 0? Instead, it was like Monarch base 32.
7. I do think like I think about this a lot with modern action movies because I think this is there's something to be said about like simplicity and like it's not always bad to just have a good guy and a bad guy. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes that can go too far with the simplicity, right? Like nuance is good, but it's like when it's so far in the other direction, the problem that arises is you don't know who to root for, and at some point you just stop caring. And I kind of think that's what's happening here.
Yeah,
What
we
was-
really didn't. We really didn't need like the United States government having this big Senate meeting to you if they're going to kill all the Titans or not. It led absolutely nowhere.
I always think it's kind of weird that they make Godzilla like be the quote unquote good guy because I mean at the end of the day he's still fucking up shit pretty badly. Like,
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think like a lot of the Japanese movies kind of do a better balance
Yeah.
of dealing with that, like where they're kind of like this guy like kills like a bunch of people, like we can't
Yeah.
just have him roaming around. And
I will say
he
I-
does kill like he does kill one kid, so that we
Hmm.
get that the whole reason Vera Farmiga is evil is because her one kid died, who was named.
well, that's the other
Andrew.
thing I thought was really weird was Coach Taylor like flipped over to the all right we got to help Godzilla party like
immediately.
pretty quickly.
Again, like that's what I
yeah.
mean by like characters not really being internally consistent, like or earning
Yeah.
their turns, I guess.
Well,
I
he
did-
even says at one point, like, if you would have told me 5 years ago I would be trying to help the monster that killed my son, like, I would have called you crazy, but
Wow.
here we are, huh?
I did get this like interesting moment of perspective on like walking out of the theater because like listen, like what we do here is look at things critically, and so we're just
Yeah.
kind of prone to we want to break things down, like that's what we're doing. Again, like I think we're all emphasizing like God, this is probably worth seeing because it's like but what's what we do, like I'm just the way I watch movies now, unfortunately, is just like if a thing starts bothering me, then I start turning it over my head because I'm trying to figure out why it's bothering me, you know what I mean? But on the way out, there's like a father and a son, like son was probably a teenager, and the kid's like, yeah, he's like, that was great. He's like, I don't know, I heard it wasn't that good. He's like, but I really like that. And then the dad, who was just like this super boss and meathead dude, was like, yeah, I actually felt bad for Godzilla. And I started
had
lying, and I'm
similar
like,
experience.
I started just kind of laughing to myself, but I'm like, all right, man. I'm like, you know what? On some level, what they're trying to do, like translated, even if it's like overwrought, I'm like, that guy gets
Sure,
it. You know what I
sure,
mean?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, for
The-
sure. Like I had my father literally call me and be like, "That movie was awesome. What'd you think?" And I was like, "Oh, it was good." And he's like, "Good bullshit. It was awesome." And I was like,
Shut
"Okay,
up,
Dad."
you
Like,
shut up and say you love it.
but yeah, I was really kind of tickled by this guy discovering for the first time that you can have sympathy for a monster. Like that was
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
that moment.
What's
was
is
fun.
it like?
I
I always
had-
think about Freddy versus Jason, right? Where at the end you're kind of like
Oh,
sympathizing with
yeah.
Jason.
Jason.
Like,
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. I had the similar experience, and it was kind of like my favorite moment of the night because I got done being an old man. I go straight to the men's room. There was a dad and his two kids who were sons in there that were like 12 years old washing their hands or something. And the kids were just fired up and they were talking while they're washing their hands. They're like, oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure Godzilla ate Ghidorah. You saw the lightning bolts flashing out of his mouth and stuff, and they were just going back and forth and just really excited. And afterwards, like we all walked out of the bathroom at the same time, and those kids are telling their dad, like, "Dad, that was awesome."
I mean, dude, I could see seeing this as a kid and just being blown away by the action.
yeah,
there was a
Well,
lot of kids in my theater, and I thought that was completely inappropriate.
Well, it's PG-13, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, there didn't seem to be anything too like overtly like.
Compared to
Oh,
s-
hide your children.
Yeah, compared to
Yeah.
some of the shit I see parents burn their kids to, I don't think it's that big a deal.
Yeah.
Let's
Well, I
see.
don't know. The Midwest, like literally, there was like a toddler in a stroller there. Like,
Oh well, okay.
Also-
That's a
Oh.
little extreme, but I mean, it's not as bad as 5-year-olds at Halloween 2018 or something.
Also, I don't care how much I have to pee when I get out of a movie. I will not go in the bathroom right after a movie lets out because then it's just like 30 dudes in there just piling in. And I'm good. I'll go.
Mhm.
I'll hold it.
well,
At
not,
my age, I'm not going to make it home.
not in your like piss factory that we've heard so much
Yeah.
about her.
No, I'm like
Yeah,
I'm
yours sounds
like
worse than mine.
I'm good. Thank you.
3 inches of urine.
Best factory. Is there any other shining moments you guys wanted to point out? The mammoth was cool. I dug that. I know Andrew didn't, but
Yeah,
I like.
I could have used more mammoth. I'll be honest.
I wanted to know, we never got to see what kaiju was under Boston, right? Because they alluded that there was one hidden there, didn't they?
Oh, I don't know.
I might have missed that, but I don't know, the Soxinator or something.
I mean,
don't
I
know.
would have
Yeah.
liked. I would have liked to have seen, and maybe there were flashes, and I just didn't recognize them. Like, I know they did a quick little montage of the other ones, but they said there were 17. And I swear we only saw like 6.
Oh. I think you
Yeah.
see I think you see 6. Like and like none of them were recognizable Toho monsters because the way the Toho Godzilla company, the Toho owns Godzilla, the way that they do their licenses is they license out by monster.
Wow.
So like if
Smart,
they
dude.
want to, so like they had to pay money to get Rodan, Ghidorah, and Mothra. So they weren't just gonna like pay
For
and
one
have
shot.
like have one shot of like the giant turtle be like a
Yeah.
Listen,
Chemibus or something.
listen,
like that.
man. Toho got to eat. You know what I mean? You can't
Yeah.
blame them.
I was really hoping that Kong would show up at some point, which I assume he will in the next movie.
Well, so
but
I know you
Well,
blacked
We
out
got to
during
see
the.
his back.
I know you blacked out
The-
during the credits, Joe, but all of those news segments were all about building up the whole Kong Godzilla thing.
I don't know where the hell I was. Like I was literally sitting there waiting for. You know what I was? I was Googling if there is a scene after the credits.
And there is.
And
So
there
what-
is, but
So I didn't-
apparently there was.
I didn't see it. Was it important?
No.
So we get Brother Noomsy pretty much back in Boston, and he's going like Boston is rubble at this point, and he goes to like some sort of like fish market almost, and they have
He's not in Boston at all. He's where Godzilla first decapitated the head. That's where
okay.
Because they talk about how they can't fish anymore because that bomb destroyed all the fish.
Okay, so
Yeah.
he's wasn't that Bermuda or some island in the?
Yeah, like an
Atlantic?
island nation.
But pretty much he's buying the head, which
Yeah, he's just
I
buying the
assume is like somehow gonna like revive
Interesting.
this thing.
I
Well,
you
they
know
made a
that's a
point
really
he
it's a
was-
really good point
they
because
made-
like what the hell happened to that dude in the movie? Like I don't even know when the last time you see him is when she walks out on him probably.
Yeah. They did make a point, though, as far as that end credit. They'd mentioned once in the movie that he was like tracking down their DNA or something like that for black market or something. Maybe it'll come up in another movie later on. So,
I don't know. Given how this movie did in the box office, like unless Kong does blockbusters, like I don't know how many more of these we'll see. Hopefully, it's like Mecha Godzilla or Mecha King Ghidorah, where it's just
It's-
like one normal head. And
It's
like, the
really
rest are, like,
interesting
above
because
bottom.
like this thing, I feel like mainstream critics really kind of tore into this thing, and I feel like that was what kind of muted the box office because, I mean, again, the first one wasn't a huge hit, but like, I don't know, it's funny because I kind of perused through some of the critics' reviews and like, I don't disagree with most of their points, but I came to a different conclusion, if that makes sense, and I think that maybe that just might be the genre fan in me who can like appreciate some of the stuff going on here. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so there were some critics like that were like that gave it criticism and it was all valid. But I saw a lot of stuff like I literally saw one review where it's like, was it good? Well, it's a Godzilla movie, so no. So like there's like a whole bunch of people who are like, yeah, it's just couldn't beat rubber suits and bashing cardboard buildings. Like that, just like people have like these preconceived notions against these movies like so hard. It's like a lot of horror movies get the same treatment though, like same kind of.
yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a bummer because I would like to see more. As
Yeah.
I just want these guys to fucking get a script writer, man. Like, have one person write the movie, not 10. Is all I'm asking.
Well, hopefully, like Godzilla versus Kong is like seems pretty easy to do. You just need to have them
Now,
meet somewhere and punch.
Have whoever wrote that Kong movie write this thing because
Yeah,
that thing
exactly.
is that
That's
thing
what I
is
was going to say.
that thing is
I love
tight as
that
hell.
Kong
Like,
movie.
that's a movie with like a clear through line, like clear main characters.
Drop all the factions and the conspiracies and shit.
Kong
Yeah,
squeezes the life out of that squid and eats it.
Yep.
Hmm.
The Your Next guy, the guy who directed Your Next, is actually doing Godzilla vs Kong. So,
Oh.
So that,
Well,
and
yeah.
am I right? Is that coming out next year?
yeah,
Okay.
Adam Winger. See, they pretty much had it done by the time this movie came out, which I don't know if we'd be getting it if they didn't. 'cause
Right,
it's
that's
not doing well.
interesting. Yeah. So well, it'll give him another chance to resuscitate it, I guess.
Yeah, hopefully.
Oh.
All right. Kong. Nope. Godzilla. King
Mhm.
of the monsters. Would you recommend this, Joe?
I'd wait till home, but yeah, I think it's worth a watch.
Andrew?
Yeah, see it on the big screen because you can only see that once.
Casey?
Yes, and I'd say big screen for monster fights.
Yeah, this may be surprising, but I'm going to say yes, and I'm going to say big screen because like it's loud and bright and flashy, and it's a lot of fun to watch in the theater. People clapped. People clapped when it was over.
It's a nice change for the typical summer action tent pole that we typically get, I
Yeah.
think.
I mean, I guess if you're a poor person and don't have a big TV, then yeah, I guess go to the theater. But if you're not gross and you have a big TV, then just wait till it's home.
Great. That's great. All right, guys. That's going to do it for the review. Let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
There's a new businessman in Castle Rock, and for a price, he'll get you anything you want. The devil is open for business, and business is booming. From Stephen King's best-selling book,
How was it going? They killed my wife. Is that wrong? Hey, these things happen.
Needful Things, rated R.
At theaters August 27th.
Hi, this is Electra Avellan. And this is Elise Avellan. And we're the crazy babysitter twins from Grindhouse. And you're listening to Bloody Good Horror. Mwah.
Send your emails to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or hit us up on Twitter at BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH. And don't forget to pick up back episodes of the show at podcast.bloodygoodhorror.com.
And we are back.
I've never seen Needful Things. Is it like a comedy?
It's a little
No.
black comedy in there, maybe.
Hmm?
A little
It's
bit.
pretty good. I love it. I mean, I love
Yeah?
it, but also it's a nostalgia thing. 90s. It's got who plays the lead? Not the devil guy. Have you seen Andrew?
No, I haven't actually. I'm sorry.
Isn't it
What's the guy's name? I can't.
Ed?
Ed
it's
Harris.
something.
Ed Harris.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, interesting.
Have you read the
maybe I
book?
gotta
Have
check
you
it
read the book?
Here's
Have you read the book, Joe?
No.
It's basically about like an old man played by Max von Sydow, who's basically the devil, moves to a small town and opens up a shop called Needful Things, and you go in and like he'll sell you the thing your heart desires. Like some guy goes in, he was an ex-football player, and then magically this guy just happens to have like the Letterman jacket from his year in high school, and like he sells it to him, but it ends up being this like twisted thing where it like does bad things to you. Like you sell him your soul basically to get it, even though they don't realize it. And then what happens is he just starts sowing all this destruction in this tiny town, and then it all comes to like a big head at the end. It's really fun. The movie's
Interesting.
really good.
Yeah, maybe I gotta check that out.
It's good.
Here's
night.
our awe moment of the week. Needful Things was Colleen and I's very first date.
Wow.
Aww.
In 1991,
93-ish.
93. Wow. Yeah, it's
It would have had to been 93. That's when we met.
It's pretty good. I highly recommend it. One email this week from Jason. Jason's writing in Joe to clarify his bouncy houses question.
Oh,
from a
sure,
couple weeks ago. He said, just heard your discussion about my tweet. I wanted to say that I did mean to say bouncy houses. I don't know if you guys remember, but his email said bouncing houses.
Yeah.
We weren't sure what that was. I was at a public event watching the carnage unfold and felt the urge to tweet about it, so my phone must have auto-corrected to bouncing. Anyway, Eric was spot on with his interpretation. My issue was parents either observing or not observing and being huge assholes. Although I am intrigued by Joe's late night suggestion, can he bring his bouncy house to the next BGH meetup?
I mean, it's really only big enough for like maybe one grown adult or like 3 kids. So I don't know if that's advisable, but we can see what we can do.
I don't remember what you were just talking about, getting drunk on there and weird stuff happening.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been to like a few kids' parties, usually with relatives, where it's in the backyard. The kids go to sleep after the party, and the parents are drinking, and all of a sudden, people wind up in the bouncy house doing fist fighting and stuff. All in fun, not like actual fights.
What are your family gatherings like?
Well, things happen.
All right, Joe, tweets.
Yeah, we got them. We got a good amount, so strap in, kids. We use 2 different hashtags. First one being BGH Classics. That's if you're listening to an old episode and something we say tickles your fancy. We got a few here. First up from Jake, or at JHAR0. If the man can handle my lunar porn, more power to him. And that was episode 151. The roommate, Casey, said that. Lunaring classic. Was that Poughkeepsie tapes that first came up? I think so. Yeah. Another one from Jake. This is John says, "Look, I don't live in Texas," and Eric replies, "The hell you say?" Episode 154, Drive Angry. And then we got 2 from Monica, who we have not heard from in a while. I'm very excited to hear her back.
Welcome back, Monica.
Yeah, this is Mi Corazón, Mi Amor. If you're not willing to question those beliefs, then fuck you. That was John commenting on Christmas Christians losing their mind over the Golden Compass.
God.
Oh wow.
We've been doing this show a long time, Joe.
This is episode 7, Christmas themed horror, Black Christmas 74, Black Christmas 06.
Oh my God.
And then Santa's Sleigh, Jack Frost, and Ginger Dead Man.
Good Lord, we did 5 movies in one episode.
Yeah. And then one more from Monica. This is all the way back, episode 34. I guess the theme was, why are we horror fans? If I'm eating unhealthy, I think, fuck it, I might as well be drunk too. And that was Eric.
Yeah, no, that sounds right. Yep. That was my phase where I was eating a lot of frozen White Castle.
Oh, yeah.
I would eat frozen. This is before I learned how to not be a baby man and actually take care of myself, Joe. But I would eat a lot of frozen White Castles and Cheetos on the side.
Oh my God.
Sounds all right to me.
I remember those days because it was one of the first times that you come out. We'd all gotten together for Horror Hound, and I picked you up from the airport and had to take you to White Castle.
I had never eaten a White Castle before, and they had that party at at the end of Saturday night where they literally had ordered a giant. It was like a mountain made out of White Castles, and I was just putting them down, and I'm like, guys, I don't know if you know this, but this is good.
It's fucking delicious. I could go on.
And then I discovered the frozen ones, and they're not bad.
They're not. They're pretty comparable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a big fan. All right, and then we also use the hashtag AskBGH. That's every week we tweet up and ask for folks to send in their questions, whether it's relating to the movie we're watching or just life advice that you need. First one from our good friend That Baseball Joe, and Eric tagged this one, so it really wasn't an AskBGH, but he wanted to make sure that this was out there. He says, I made the mistake of not listening to your advice and watching The Ranger. Oof. I think Rob Riggle would have made it more interesting.
Oh my God, how good would that have been?
Wow.
I just wanted to make sure we got that out, that he was saying we were right and he should have listened to us.
Who is Rob Riggle? I don't.
Rob Riggle.
Oh, you've seen him in every generic comedy movie.
He's a Upright Citizens Brigade guy. Yeah, he shows up in a lot of
I know
comedies.
who you're talking about, yeah. All right, next up from our good friend Lori. That's at Nyla Devinger.
What just happened to you there?
No, Davinger? I'm trying to figure out. Nylon
Avenger?
All right. Godzilla. Why is his head so small and his neck so girthy?
I know, poor guy. He's got T-Rex arms too. Really, it's funny. I'm sure it was just a limitation of having a human in the original suit, but his proportions are not at all conducive to fighting. He's lucky that he can do that fire breath, lightning breath thing. Because
he's very what's his name, Dave Bautista-esque in the later
he just can't. He can't put his arms above here.
Lori finishes up. He's terribly bottom heavy, like a chunky bipedal stegosaurus. Maybe like Val Kilmer or Steven
Like
Seagal.
sort
He's
of
put
like
on a
a
few pounds, and this is his last hurrah before retirement? Question mark.
like a T-Rex weeble wobble sort of.
I mean,
Yeah.
dad bods seem to be making a comeback. So
That's more than dad Bob.
Real
though.
Godzillas have curves, okay?
All right. Next up, this is a two-parter from Library of Congress. That's a Thor's Hour of Thunder podcast. It says, Joe, Wayne's World roller coaster unfortunately closed at King's Dominion, and its wooden track has been replaced by steel hybrid. They had already had to get rid of all of the Wayne's World theming when Paramount sold the park to Cedar Fair. Question the next tweet, which he says, so my question is, what is everyone's favorite defunct amusement park ride? Mine is the Shockwave, also at King's Dominion. It was one of the few roller coasters you stood up in instead of sitting down. Parentheses, I assume Joe will have some gone Disney rides he misses. I've got like a half an hour answer, so if you guys want to go first.
I honestly know literally nothing about defunct rides. I was just gonna chime in and say, when I was a kid, I really liked the Gravitron thing that just spins around. You stick to the walls and like vomit.
The Vomitron.
The Vomitron, yeah. There was one particular year where I went and literally was probably went on the thing like 6 times in a row or something. I don't know what was wrong, but I loved that shit.
I love the old Universal Jaws ride, Universal Studios
yeah.
Orlando, man. That was my dream job, just to be there and do bad puns and be like, look, we're in Jawsville.
Dude,
like,
when did
look
you
at
work
this.
there? I went there once.
Would have been maybe 2000, maybe 2000.
Wait, no, you didn't work there, right? You said that.
No, sorry, no, that was my dream
I thought
job.
you said
and then
you.
I wanted
Okay,
to
I
work
thought he
there.
said he worked
Sorry.
there. Okay. Yeah, no, that honestly that ride sucks, but I'm glad that I got to go on it.
Oh no, it's tough. You know, Andrew, if you go online, you actually, and there's a lot of these for rides that close, especially at Universal and Disney, but you can actually watch the last ride. Like people go on it. A lot of folks, like especially like the Disney nerds, which I guess I can kind of get into my answer. Like Maelstrom, which closed a couple of years ago in Epcot. There's folks on there, then they videotape it, and you can actually watch like the final ride. It's really sad, like especially if you have like nostalgia for it, because like everyone's cheering at the end, and like the ride operators, you can tell like they're kind of emotional because like they've worked on it for years. Like, yeah, that one, and I mean Kong, I was really bummed when they closed that one in Universal.
I never got a chance of that, and I really wish I would have got a chance to do that one.
Yeah.
Universal as well. Like, I really want to do the Back to the Future ride, like, because the now one got replaced by the Simpsons ride, which is sad.
Yeah,
and then...
which to be honest, it's pretty much the same exact ride. Like you're not missing much.
I got stuck on the Simpsons ride.
Yeah.
At the time I went.
I mean, there's a ton at Disney I could go into. There's one Horizons, which is like the stuff of Legends at Epcot. Pretty much it was, kind of going through the history of transportation, and then at the end, you got to select how your ride ended. Like if you went underwater, you went in the air. And I remember it closed in like the late 90s, I remember right, but this was like pre-internet. So my brother and like my family would take us there, and my brother and I loved it. And we were constantly be like, we got to find that ride. We got to find that ride. So we would like drag my parents all over the park. Turns out it wasn't there anymore. So it was just like a never ending search for this thing. I mean, there's a ton at Disney, like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, which you can still go on at Disneyland. But like, if I had to like pinpoint one, there's actually Busch Gardens in Williamsburg. The Big Bad Wolf was like a hanging roller coaster, and it was the first coaster that I ever went on, and it closed like 2 or 3 years ago, and like I was super sad when they got rid of that. But I digress. Anybody else?
I'm with Eric. I never went to amusement parks quite enough to notice if the ride was defunct. I've been to a number of them, but it's like, we had a small Indiana amusement park called Indiana Beach that's still out there, and I took my daughter there a couple years ago, and it probably should have been defunct, which is sad because I spent a lot of time there growing up.
The small business one near us, Joe, was like all that shit's still there, right?
Which one? Santa's Village or whatever the hell, or Magic Forest?
No, the Great Escape.
Oh yeah, well that's owned by Six Flags now.
Yeah, but I think it's all the same shit's been there. Like, I don't think it's changed that
Yeah,
much.
for the most part, I don't think they really close things there. I mean, you could spend hours watching like old videos like of the Disney
It's
stuff.
so funny how I went, like, I loved rides as a kid. I loved scary rides. You couldn't pay me enough to get on any carnival ride now. Like, I don't give a fuck. The
Yeah.
worst,
yeah.
the worst of all time is those fucking Viking ships that you're not
Oh.
even strapped into, and you're just, no. Like, when you get that little moment of feeling with your ass lifting off, no fucking thank you, dude. I'm good. Like,
Yeah,
it's making
I
me
remember I
sick
was
to my
once-
stomach just thinking about it right now.
I was once on Canada's Wonderland, which is surprise, surprise, it's a Canadian theme park.
Mm.
But I was once on one of those coasters that does like it like brings you really far back,
Yeah.
and then it just like fires and like you do the loop-de-loops, and like we were right at the end, like we were fully at the end, about to like fire, and some ladies like lock stopped working.
Oh my God.
Oh.
And like everyone was like panicking, and then like right before we went in, like it got back in and everyone was okay. But like I've never seen a person more terrified in their lives than
Can
like
imagine.
Yeah, it's not
that
worth it,
moment.
man. It's not worth it. Also, my back is really like, all it takes is a roller coaster moving the wrong direction too quickly, and I'm like laid up for a week.
Yeah, I mean that's why I do kind of love Disney. Like, there's not a lot of thrill rides
They're more
there.
like
You can.
experiences.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they closed the Great Movie Ride last year, which I'm super bummed about. Like, that was one of the first ones I remember being like a big deal when I was a kid. And I think it's the first ride we ever took Mia on, which is sad, but you know,
that ride is so good. I miss that ride.
it's gone. They're putting in like a Mickey Mini like car ride there, which I'm sure will be super cool, but you know.
What do you think they did with all the old props? Like, what did they do with that alien? I want that alien that's Sigourney Weaver. That's all I'm saying. Is I just want that somewhere in my house.
Stuff like either ends up in like the Disney archive, which is probably where it is, and they'll drag it out every once in a while for like D23, which is like their yearly convention. The marathon that I ran a few years ago, it was actually really cool because you pretty much run around like the back roads, and like they usually have characters and stuff that you can get pictures with, but like there was one section where they had the old 20,000 Leagues Below the Sea car you could get pictures in front of and stuff. Like they had a bunch of old like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride and stuff. So like all that stuff, it's literally like the Indiana Jones vault that they show at the end of whatever that first movie is. All right, sorry, we got to move on.
You're losing me, dude. I'm sorry. I apologize. I know you're into it.
I just gotta throw in there. I looked up Indiana Beach, which is the one I was talking about, and there's a big picture. I forgot the main coaster. Indiana Beach is the Cornball Express.
Sounds about right.
Seems fitting. All right, next up, Skizbot. Maybe a dumb question, but if BGH started raking in a ton of money, would you all want to do this as a full-time job? Is there anything you would do differently, add, or improve if you had the money to do it? And sorry, no, I have not won the lottery.
No, I definitely would love to. Yeah.
Yeah.
If in fact, I was we did a Powerball thing at work recently, and that was one of my thoughts. Was like, if we won, I would love to do this full time.
Yeah, I would love to. I mean, I think we could do more shows if we could actually do this full time. Like
Yeah.
we could put more time to it. Like there's a ton of stuff, but
You
know,
might
we
get
don't-
even. I would be willing to bet you'd even get individual shows like the Eric Show and the Casey Show and the Joe Show and Schnarr's Show, just because why not?
It's yeah. I mean, it's time consuming. Evan and I talk a lot about it on the Housewives one too. Like there's ones that do like nightly recordings after all the episodes, but
Oh my god,
you got
dude.
day jobs, you just don't have the time.
That's crazy.
All right, next up from Nightmare Nerd 1 of this is interesting. Dogs sweat through their tongues. What are their armpits for? Hey, you didn't specifically say it had to be horror related.
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to.
No?
They have show armpits. It's for show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
true.
it's like man nipples.
They're for hugs.
Like nipples on men.
Yeah.
All right, next up from
For hugs? Is that the?
whichever. Brian McCoy. What slasher villain blown up by Rick Moranis' character from the 90s smash hit Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and its less popular sequels would be the biggest threat to Godzilla?
Oh, I misread the tweet. Blown up. I get it.
I remember when I was in middle school, we used to always argue about could Freddy Krueger beat Godzilla if Godzilla was dreaming, and I was always like, no, it would never happen. It's impossible. He could beat him.
I don't think
And then we
Godzilla
just argue
sleeps.
for ages.
Does he sleep?
Yeah, I don't know. He dreams of nuclear sheep. I don't know what he does. So he just does what he wants.
What
Jason, I think Jason and Godzilla would just get along because like they're
Yeah.
both like, oh, people are mean to us.
Yeah.
And Godzilla's like, I don't kill your mom. I'm not a counselor, so like, they're fine.
Candyman. I mean,
It's gotta be Candyman. It's always Candyman.
always Candyman versus Brock Lesnar versus Godzilla. Next up from our very own Sophie, that's at Phillies Femme. Which kaiju best represents each of you? And I think we all agree that Andrew will just answer this one.
Oh yeah, Andrew has a whole list.
Does.
I do. I have a whole list. I figured this all out. So basically, I determined this justly. So we've got Mammoth Boy, which is who I'm calling the Mammoth, and that's got to be Casey. Casey's got to be Mammoth Boy. We've already talked about that. Joe, you're the Japanese King Kong because, like, let's be real. Like, if you watch that original Japanese movie, he loves his booze. That he just drinks all the time. He just passes out. He like drinks like 5 beers and then ghost fights Godzilla. Like, he doesn't do so well.
I like it.
Eric, you're this version of Godzilla, like this grumpy dad. I just want to take a nap, Godzilla.
I like it. I like it.
I like to. I compared myself to Anguirus because he just runs into the buzzsaws of life. That's what he does. Cece, Batra, because it's Goth Mothra.
Yeah.
And she's dope.
Gothra.
Sophie, I said, is Mothra. So there you go. You got Mothra, and then you got Gothra.
The yin
and then
and the
like
yang.
that's the Danger Girls, right? Like that's what you got.
Oh yeah.
And then I said John was Mechagodzilla, but specifically because there was a comic book where Mechagodzilla was piloted by a wannabe, like a super rich wannabe guy, and Godzilla just destroyed him. And I was like, oh, that sounds like a Schnars thing.
Makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
I like it. Very nice.
Yeah, awesome. Very good.
Well researched.
All right, we got 3 more here. We can bang through. At Frank V1313, who are you betting money on for next year, Godzilla or Kong?
I
I gotta go.
It's probably gonna be one of those things where like they fight and then team up, right? Like that's got to be what happens.
I don't know. I'm gonna go Kong based on the originals.
They keep saying like, no, there's going to be a definitive winner, and if there is, it best be Godzilla, or I get mad.
I'm still gonna go with they're gonna end the movie with them skipping off into the sunset holding hands.
Yeah, like they're gonna be bros at some point, I would think.
Yeah.
Who in the original one, Andrew? Didn't Kong win?
Yeah, kind of. Like they just fall into the water and then Kong gets up. Like
Kinda
that's
away,
what
right?
happens and walks away. There's for years there was all like in the Japanese version Godzilla wins, but that's a myth. So stop pointing at fact books. You're wrong.
Fake news.
Get your shit straight.
All right, 2 more. Next one from John's personal trainer, Zombie Wasabi. She asks, "What's the quote hide your double chin with a beard unquote equivalent for a girl?" I mean,
I don't think
would
any
say,
of us are qualified.
I
to answer
plead
that
the
question.
5th.
Yeah.
I'm not answering this question.
I would say cleavage. Like I say, that just distracts men from everything. So
Play it up.
Yeah.
Glasses.
You could have all the chins, and still we wouldn't know what the hell's going on. All right, last but not least, Monica, mi corazón, mi amor. What's the gang's opinion about His Dark Materials' upcoming adaptation for HBO, and will Eric be reading the books? I do not know what this means.
No, I don't
Casey,
either.
I want to look at you. All right. Well, apologies.
Joe,
None
listen,
of us have read it.
Joe and I
His
are
Dark
going to
Materials.
need at least another 6 months to wrap our heads around the comics that Schnar sent us. So
I can't get into this. We'll do it next week when John's back, but I got opinions, and apparently, according to our Slack channel,
you're wrong.
You can't say one negative thing about your precious picture books.
Definitely cannot.
I'll just say, preview. If your point is, well, did you consider the pictures, Joe? Then no, fuck you. All right. But that's it for tweets.
Amazing, as always. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Young Andrew.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for
Strong
having me.
showing, young Andrew.
We greatly enjoyed your insight tonight.
Yeah,
We would have been lost without you, certainly.
My pleasure.
People can check out your wares on a weekly basis on the Behold an Electric Terror BGH spinoff. You can get that by going to patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror. Supporting the site at any level gets you access to the feed where all the spinoffs go. You got Behold an Electric Terror. You got Sophisticated Cinema. You got like the one time a year I do an Eric show. and anything else that gets put out on that feed. And at a certain level, you get Slack, which is where all these comic book discussions are happening that Joe's referencing, and access to a live stream of the show, so you can watch us every week.
And September 20th, you also get access to, if you come to the meetup, you'll get the Friday night Patreon exclusive get-together.
Yes,
and there will be beer and food provided.
You'll get the secret code word to get into the Patreon meetup.
Yeah.
So, there you go. That's going to do it, guys, for Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll talk to you next week.
Andrew, you should go first.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.